It's a battle as old as time, one that has been raging on far before I was even born, but Star Trek versus Star Wars. And, well, it was a very interesting debate between both fandoms when both franchises were healthy. Now we're very much in a desolate wasteland where you could make arguments which one's in a worse shape, and you could both come to a conclusion that it really doesn't much matter. One has cancer, one has AIDS. Does it really matter who's in worse shape? Because, yeah, there really is, at least in the short term, no hope for either brand, okay? I think as an outside observer of both of them, actually, I was going to say Star Trek's in a worse place, but then I look over at, Star Wars and what they're doing. I think there's maybe a little bit more hope for Star Trek, especially with Paramount being bought out by Skydance here in the very near future. So perhaps a change in leadership ends in a change of direction for Star Trek, but I don't even know, man. I really don't know, especially with all of the stuff that, Kurtzman is trying to get out the door before the buyout takes place. It's bad all ways around. But this is at least a little bit fun, right? Where we can go back in time and take a look at when, both franchises were cooking. Arguably the two most iconic characters from both franchises once again going at it. And, well, it's, as usual, just a one-sided beatdown care of the captain as William Shatner blasts Disney Star Wars. Mark Hamill actually ruined it for you. Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, whenever I try to pay homage to the OT and for what it did for Hollywood in general, I'm reminded by the existence of Mark Hamill, and I just want to couch my support for the franchise a little bit, is in so much as I gotta praise Mark Hamill, and that guy's just he's totally brain rotted, man. But William Shatner has taken to X to show his Star Wars knowledge, putting the former Luke Skywalker actor on blast. As he says, Mark Hamill actually ruined it for you. William Shatner is known for known for his fun and based takes on X, while Mark Hamill is, well, it's between him, Rob Reiner, and Ron Perlman when it comes to TDS-afflicted actors who are just dealing with the most terminal cases. But it's probably Mark Hamill when it's all said and done. He's totally cooked, man. In recent years, both franchises have suffered because of DEI policies. Yes, Star Trek Discovery and Star Wars The Acolyte. It's I don't even know, man. And The Acolyte's probably the worst one, but for the fact that Discovery went for 5 brutal seasons, I take your pick, man. It's one's a brain tumor, the other one's blood cancer. One will kill you like that, and the other one's going to take a minute and be just as agonizing. So who knows, okay? Fans often try to ask where each franchise went wrong, and Kurtzman and Kathleen Kennedy, I think that, he could directly point specifically to that being the Flashpoint, but a lot of people will say, oh, no, it's the prequels, or, Enterprise, the TNG movies for Star Trek. It's I don't know, man. I think you have the new stewards to blame for both franchises being as destroyed as they are. But yeah, catching up with the chat, he's taking shots at Mark Hamill in the Star Wars franchise, bringing up a Vanity Fair article from 2018 where Mark Hamill announced that Luke Skywalker was gay to try to get attention. Yeah, because that was in the aftermath and the languishing period of The Last Jedi where people were feeling bad for Mark Hamill. It's oh, look at how Ryan ended up ruining Luke Skywalker, and then Mark Hamill's nobody can ruin Luke Skywalker quite like I can. Let me show you how it's done, kids. Shat posted, revealing he knows a lot about Star Wars Extended Universe lore. Oh, but that's been decanonized, much to the chagrin of Kathleen Kennedy, who constantly wants to decry. It's really difficult to come up with unique and interesting stories because Star Wars doesn't have a lot of source material. It doesn't have decades of inspiration to draw upon. For those Star Wars fans who are trying to tell me Disney ruined everything, I assume you're referring to Mara Jade? Hamill actually ruined it for you when he revealed Luke was gay. Mara being struck from Star Wars canon was part of her annulment agreement from the Force. Oh no, he brought up Mara. Oh no, why would you do that? But that right there, apparently the wider context of that Vanity Fair article was, Mark Hamill was asked because something was being done by Disney where, I don't know, Luke was probably, characterized in a comic book as having gay thoughts for Obi-Wan or something or wanting to bend Yoda over one of the rocks on Dagobah, but who knows, man. But apparently Mark Hamill, who is perhaps a little bit more based, only had a stage 1 diagnosis of TDS at that time, but he's Luke Skywalker's gay if you want. If that helps you live your life, if it validates your existence, sure, whatever. He's gay for you. Fantastic stuff. But that's all he was talking about. And of course, Vanity Fair, being the smear merchants that they are, they ran with the headline of, oh yeah, Mark Hamill, oh yeah, he just co-signs that Luke Skywalker is gay. That's all right. We can have a laugh at Mark Hamill because he is such a mess at this point in time, and so is Star Wars because, like I said, man, I don't know which is in worse shape. And the fact that Star Trek doesn't want to acknowledge the existence of William Shatner, like they'll steal the iconography of Captain Kirk, right? Like they'll do that, but Shatner's still alive. Like, it wasn't that long ago where he went up in space, for Christ's sakes. So yeah, he's still well enough to do stuff, but they just never want to invite him to stuff. I wonder why. Because he has such interesting takes like this? Could be. Potentially. They would rather have George Takei, somebody who has made far saucier comments back in the old days of Howard Stern, but no, they'd go ahead and bring him out ahead of the Shat. It's very, very interesting how they'd go ahead and do that, but which franchise has a better hope of revival? Like I said before, I think Skydance, if they're doing things right, if they're coming in to hopefully save the day and reverse course for Paramount, there's an inkling of hope. But when it comes to Lucasfilm and Star Wars, I mean, let's just hear it straight from the horse's ass. You got Daisy Ridley seemingly confirms upcoming Rey new Jedi Order Star Wars movie will be political in nature. Claims all Star Wars is political because, yeah, Daisy Ridley, close your mouth. Close your goddamn mouth. Like, she's desperate for work. I get into that over the weekend. Trust me, there's more Star Wars and Disney news. The sun rises in the east, sets in the west, grass is green, the sky is blue, and Star Wars is making stupid decisions. So yeah, we're going to be talking about them in the next couple of days. Again, funnily enough, it's Rey and Luke once again, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But right now, it's like, yeah, if you were trying to give actors and actresses the benefit of the doubt, if you don't agree with their overt ideological bents like Mark Hamill, it's like you can appreciate his depiction of Luke Skywalker. It's like one of my favorite actors of all time is Robert De Niro. He's also on that list of terminally brain-rotted individuals. It's just nobody plays a better gangster than Robert De Niro. And yes, you could go ahead and separate the art from the artist. But now, because we're very much in a different era, and we have been for a very long time, it's no longer where you could go ahead and make a movie, build up a new franchise, simply on fun ideas, compelling stories, interesting characters. Now everything has to be a platform. Everything needs to be an avenue for you to go ahead and put out the message. And that's what we're going to be continuing to get out of Star Wars. Jesus Christ. Daisy Ridley has seemingly confirmed that her upcoming new Jedi Order Star Wars Rey movie. There you go. Need to be very distinct on that one. Is there a picture of this bitch with her mouth closed? Following comments by the film's new writer George Nolfi. Okay, as Lucasfilm struggles with audience fatigue and declining interest. Well, yeah, I mean, how many dozens of people checked out Skeleton Crew? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like, you're gonna have your Andor fans that are out there, which are kind of a weird subset, right? Because there's people who like quality stories and are still willing to give Star Wars the benefit of the doubt. How many are gonna turn out for that in April? That was gonna be an interesting one to watch. It'll be very, very interesting to see the turnout over there. But after that, very likely to get Ahsoka Season 2 by the end of the year, or maybe at the beginning of 26. Who knows, man? But it's a wide open highway. We'll hear more of this, obviously, it's Celebration in April. But as it sits right now, all we have is just news, and it's just all stupid at this point. But yeah, audience fatigue, yeah, declining interest. Well, that would imply at this point there's a drop-off of people. It's already hit rock bottom. Like, are we digging even deeper in order for there to be a decline? All right. Nolfi, the third writer to take on the Trouble Project, recently spoke to Film Stories about his vision for Star Wars, stating, if you think about George Lucas, the 6 movies that he did, the universe that he created, it's actually very steeped in broad notions of politics. Yeah, because he said that, the prequels was about George Bush era politics, and yeah, there's so much politics in it. There's the Senate, and there's trade disputes, and he also said that the OT had Vietnam imagery. See, I'm very smart because I know trivia about Star Wars, but I like the Obi-Wan show because the Vader guy was in it, and he had his red lightsaber, and it went whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I'm not talking about today, per se, but there's an Empire's Nazism / Roman Empire. Yeah, okay, bro. This perspective was eagerly endorsed by Ridley. Oh, while speaking to Inverse. Okay. I feel like, oh God, whenever that starts off a statement, my brain immediately turns off at this point in time. I feel like, oh great, nothing substantive or quantitative is going to follow this up. Please, let us go. Are all political. Yeah, there you go. I feel like it's an individual versus the big corporation or the big group. Yeah, I get it, because there's the empire that's out there, and then there's the resistance, and then you've got the republic overthrown by the remnants of the empire that's more powerful than see, listen, the sequels don't need to make sense because Star Wars has always been political. So I think that there always has been, and ultimately I think the films are emotional in its good and evil, and we can all relate to very specifically in our day-to-day lives. I can see why she hasn't been a bigger hit on the interview circuit. What fucking word salad is this? But yes, I do feel those conversations are woven into the story, and I'm very excited to see what George Nolfi, not Lucas, does. Ridley's comments about Star Wars being the individual versus the big corporation or the group only highlight how little she understands the franchise. Yeah, exactly. Because like I said before, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. I've seen the OT and the prequels, the couple of different times, and in the near future, sometime this year, I'll go back and I'll rewatch them and see if I have a better appreciation for them. I'm just still stuck in Middle Earth. It's like there's nothing that itch still hasn't gotten scratched, and I just, even for as bad as the Hobbit films are, I will gladly watch them because there's a good story that's in there in the M4 book edit. Shout out to him. He made something great. He made a 4-hour movie out of those 3 subpar films. There's something good there, and as long as you stick to the main plot, it's pretty decent, but you also get some, standout performances. Richard Armitage as Thorin. It goes without saying Martin Freeman as Bilbo Baggins. It's like, come on, man, like that shit's perfect. And then seeing Ian McKellen back as Gandalf, even though he says and does some absolutely absurd shit, it's still great to see him there because he's absolutely perfect for that role. And he's still young enough to do it, and if he comes back for the Hunt for Gollum, like, it's going to be so bad because he's going to be ancient. He's going to be older than Christopher Lee was when they did the, Peter Jackson trilogy. So can we not? But that's the thing, right? Comparing, even if we do compare the Hobbit trilogy to the sequels, there is nothing that you can point out of substance from the sequel trilogy that makes it redeeming. Nothing. Like, there's a couple of cool shots, fantastic, but is there anything that's going to stand the test of time that is of quality? There's obviously good memes off the back of it, like, Holdo rather. Holdo, I don't know who that is, but Holdo inadvertently creating a, lightspeed crash when she was, in all estimation, trying to escape because Lord of the Rings tie-in here. You had Mary and Rise of Skywalker say, why don't we do some Holdo maneuvers? Now that's a 1 in a million shot. So was Holdo trying to be a hero, or was she actually a coward? I will let you decide. But yeah, there's just stupid shit like that you can pull out of it. Somehow Palpatine returned. Like I said, good memes off of it, but there's nothing. Okay, performances, I mean, like, Oscar Isaacs is a good actor. Adam Driver, it's like they're good in spite of the material that they had, but realistically, like, they're low points in those guys' career. Everybody else, completely and totally forgettable. Luke's at his worst in The Last Jedi, goes without saying. Harrison Ford absolutely phones it in, and Carrie Fisher is on death's door for a movie and a half. So what are we even doing here? There's a point in time later this year where The Force Awakens turns 10, which is absolutely wild to think that it's going to be coming up on a decade, and nobody right now has a higher approximation, has a higher opinion of that film than they did when it first came out. Because you remember, TFA made $2 billion. But now everybody looks back at it as just the recycled slop that it is. But it really does make a lot more sense because you take a look at the creatives and you take a look at the actors and actresses involved in this. And yeah, if they don't fundamentally understand what Star Wars is, that's why they made some of the most offensive Star Wars content in history. So yeah, not a lot of hope for the future of the Star Wars franchise. A little bit more hope for Star Trek, but then again, it's like hoping that the guy with cerebral palsy beats a guy with a MS in a foot race. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.